BlogTalk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is Chrism, and I would like to welcome you to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. My apologies for last week when I was in Yosemite National Park. They do have a 3G network, but evidently the server they were using didn't have the capacity to manifest Skype, and this is how I am reaching you today, is via Skype here in Santa Rosa. So I want to thank Amelia Santara and Fashji and Rosemary and Eileen and other people who participated in the show last week, and I want to give a special thank you to Amelia, who covered for me when I couldn't get online or couldn't get the Skype working. So thank you to everyone for that. This program will also be about the metabolism and the Kundalini. But first, I would like to say thank you to everybody who's logging in to the chat room now. Eileen, Fashji, and some guests 2268 and 2321. If there's a question that you have about your Kundalini awakening experience, feel free to call in at 347-934-0026, and I'll be repeating that throughout the program. I would like to thank Amelia Santara and her family in the Kingdom of Kerry in the country of Ireland for sponsoring this program so that people can learn more about their Kundalini and maybe handle it a little better than maybe they had previous, or a nice addendum to the information that they've already experienced for themselves. I would like to thank the listeners in the archives, the future listeners, as you also drive this program with your questions and comments and attentiveness as you listen in the future. So hello and thank you to you. I would also like to let you know that Glenn Ola has put together this the Kundalini Awakening Systems 1.com website, and that is the address, Kundalini Awakening Systems, the number 1.com, all one word, and go ahead and type that into Google, and that will bring it up pretty quick. You can also see some of the videos on YouTube, and that would be under Chrism.Kundalini. If you search in the YouTube channel search window there, Chrism.Kundalini will bring up all the videos. We have about a little shy of 300, I think somewhere around 270 some odd videos. So there's some other areas, and then I believe Santara has some announcements she would like to make. Santara?
Hello, Chrism. Good evening, everybody. It's good to hear you, Chrism. You're coming in loud and clear. And John is listening next door, and he has told me, as indeed has Eileen. So that's great. Okay, so as usual, I want to give the web address that you can go to if you would like to support Chrism with a donation. And that website is www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. But also, I would like to paraphrase something about Chrism. Chrism is another person like you, another person like me, a consciousness clothed in flesh. He does not claim knowledge of the writings or activities of any ancient lineage or sacred text, but what he does claim is the information received is gifted to him by the expanded awareness of the Kundalini. He is a person without social portfolio. He lives in the USA and he works among the masses. He teaches the Kundalini and he activates those who are clearly ready. He radiates Kundalini and it radiates through him. And as it moves through him, it will also move through us as well. So what he writes is another option on your path, the option of a friend and a brother, another traveler up the mountain. And what he writes comes from his own experience and what he is able to perceive via the Kundalini. He comes from a place of disciplined love and disciplined intention. He knows that may sound hard, but it's actually quite easy and very flexing within the parameters of forgiveness, helpfulness, kindness, tolerance, understanding, trust, surrender, service to others, evolution, and of course love. These are the protocols of the safeties. So again, I would like to give the website if you would like to make a donation to Chrism and this work that he does. And the website is www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. Thank you, Chrism.
Thank you, Amelia. Just so you know that Amelia is planning more seminars. We're looking at the country of Ireland. Again, we haven't, I think we're looking at the city of Cork, and we're also looking at the New York State, possibly New York City as well. And if you have any feedback about where you might like to see a seminar come up, then feel free to contact Amelia Santara at kundalinimatters@gmail.com. So today's conversation is about metabolism. And metabolism, is a Greek word, and it really means, it means change or outgrowth. These are life-sustaining chemical transformations within the cells of living organisms, but within a Kundalini context, it's not so much the cells that are being, that are having metabolized activities. It's the Kundalini that is metabolizing the body. The Kundalini is changing the body into different kinds of energy. And, metabolism is typically divided into two ways. Catabolism, which breaks down organic matter and takes the energy by way of cellular respiration, and then anabolism, which uses the energy to make components of cells like proteins, nucleic acids, things of that nature. The Kundalini is doing a very, very similar process to the individual. The Kundalini is changing the structure of the cells, but more importantly, it's changing the energetic load and the characteristics of metabolism that each cell is having. And this will have a great effect upon how your energy levels are, whether you're collecting fat, whether you're collecting muscle, where the balances are, within the body, how this will manifest as a feeling or as a cycle of change that's being given to the body by the Kundalini. And so Kundalini will go right into each cell of the body. Nothing is skipped. Nothing is ignored. Every cell of the human system, whether it's a nerve cell or a brain cell or a blood cell or a white blood cell or a bone cell, skin cell, hair cell, even the eyes and the cones of the eyes are all affected by the Kundalini. And when the Kundalini infuses, it begins a process of matter conversion, which is very similar to what the cells would normally do. Yeah, I want you to remember that the human body is a template for Kundalini. It's not that all of a sudden Kundalini comes and everything is wildly different, even though that is true to a large degree. But what I'm saying is that the human body is naturally wired to have the Kundalini come in. And so the cells know what to do. They're not as surprised as the human ego is surprised at the many different changes that can occur during the awakening process of an individual. the cells of the body are going, oh, yeah, we know about this. Here, there's some code right there in our DNA that the science enjoys calling junk DNA because they don't know what it does, and so they call it junk DNA. Typical. But this junk DNA knows exactly what to do with regards to the transformation that is occurring through the Kundalini process on the human system. The energy requirements of the body, whether it occurs through catabolism or anabolism, both of those systems will be altered. So the whole metabolism of the individual will be altered. I know many people, look at metabolism as just, well, geez, how fast do I process food? How fast do I lose weight? Do I get hungry faster than the next person? Do I need to eat 6 meals instead of 3 meals? And, et cetera, and so forth. And this is true as well. This has a lot to do with the energy conversion that we take from food. But what is stepped up with the Kundalini are those two metabolistic categories, the catabolism and the anabolism, but also the Kundalini itself will begin to harvest life force properties from the food that is taken of its own. Because the body is being changed, the cells are being changed, so are the mechanics and even the physical structures of the cells also being altered. And this affects energy levels within the system, within your body. This will affect your sleep levels. This will affect your cogency levels. This will affect your immune response levels. All of these things will be affected by the way the Kundalini is adjusting the metabolism of the individual. So one thing I really want you to pay attention to in this conversation is how you feel. Do you feel hungry? Do you feel, did you just have a big lunch? Well, did you have a midday meal? And, is that still with you? How is your body metabolizing the food to harvest nutrients from it in order to assist you in living your life? And for those of you that have Kundalini, how has that changed for you? And if you want to call in at 347-934-0026, you can let us all know how that has changed for you. It's important to note that not everybody is going to be the same with regards to the metabolism changes that the Kundalini will bring. Amelia Santara, she may get very, very tired, very, very lethargic. Chrism, he may get very, very excitable and need to go out and do some hard work or play some sport or do some exercise, something that matches the metabolism characteristic that the Kundalini is spiking through the body. Or vice versa. Amelia can get really excited and Chrism can get very lethargic. These things will come as a sine wave, which is another scientific way of talking about peaks and valleys within the experience of a person having the Kundalini or having a metabolism shifts that the Kundalini will bring. These metabolism shifts will, of course, be contingent with the amount of adrenaline that's in the bloodstream, and are the kidneys being affected at this stage of your Kundalini? Are the adrenals being affected by this stage of your Kundalini? And if so, what is that doing to the metabolism of energy in your body? And so, of course, because the fight or flee response is associated with the first chakra, the second chakra, and is there to kick in for us at an instant's notice if danger is presenting itself. Well, then that will override a lot of other systems of the metabolic process within the person. However, with Kundalini will begin the hyperexpression of adrenaline into the bloodstream through the adrenals, through the hyperexpressive activity of the adrenals, when the Kundalini comes up to your adrenal glands, the adrenal glands will begin to pump out more of the adrenaline into the bloodstream. And this can make a person very nervous, which can also begin to hyper-metabolize the food that's stored in the cells, but is also being harvested from the food that the person has within themselves. And so you can see that a whole world of change is occurring when the Kundalini comes into the picture and begins to co-opt processes that the body, for the most part, has been using of its own accord, basically waiting for the Kundalini to come. And that is for those who are going to have the Kundalini no matter what, or they already have it. Well, the body knows. Body knows and did know even before the consciousness of the person knew that the Kundalini was going to come and was going to make those changes. Now, with regards to your sleep, I get a few emails these days about people with their sleep. And yes, this has to do with some of the metabolism effects that a person may have. If you are fasting, if you like a 7-day fast can really bring a person quite a ways into the areas of lipidosis. Lipidosis is a fancy scientific term for saying consuming your own fat. The body is consuming its own fat because no external sources of food are coming in to the body. And so, in order to make it really clear for us lay people, the medical people said, well, we'll just call that lipidosis. Just in case any of you were in the dark about that, that's the body consuming its own fat. A 7-day fast will bring you into that, and that will also have levels of agitation attached to it because the metabolism of the body is being interrupted. Well, with Kundalini, it's not so much of an interruption as it is a being completely taken over. I refuse to use the word hijacked, but the Kundalini, being of a divine source, will come in and begin to bring the cells into their, shall we say, expanded activities as the Kundalini brings their change upon the cells. Well, the cells and the energy that they produce in the body and the mechanism of energy production within the body also get changed. And so this is how, if the Kundalini wants you to stay awake for 36 hours, it's not a problem. It's not a problem because the Kundalini is changing the person to be able to have and hold a specific level of attention and awareness for a certain amount of time. The Kundalini is able to co-opt those energetic reserves, and those reserves are also, they're stored in fat cells and they're stored in, the different lysosomic structures within the cell. But Kundalini can begin the process of lipidosis as well, without you having to go on to a fast. Sometimes the person's metabolism is going to experience a pretty strong uptick in the amount of energetic reserves that are being used. Now, this can also have the opposite effect. It can also make you sleepy, really, really sleepy, because you're not getting the amount of energy that your body's used to having, and so it clicks into a rest mode so that you're conserving as much energy as you can because you're not reinforcing it through eating. Now, this, talking about a fast. When you're eating normally, or the way the Kundalini wants you to eat, well, this is really one of the most interesting points with the Kundalini is that as it begins to choose your food, it's also choosing your metabolism response. So it's not just going, oh, Chrism, I want you to eat more green leafy vegetables, green leafy things, and it's not just saying, oh, I want you to eat that kind of food. It's also saying, oh, this is the kind of metabolism response that Chrism's body needs in order to hold the divine energy in a greater way for this period of transformation that's happening to him. And so as you allow the Kundalini to choose your food, you're allowing the process of the transformation to be supported through different metabolisms that the Kundalini will bring. You can look up metabolism on Wikipedia or any of those, metabolism, and you can go ahead and read about that. I think it's very interesting that the cells, there are cells that take energy from light. Kundalini is also a lighted source, as evidenced by a lit up pineal gland. And so the Kundalini itself can become a source of food and nourishment for all the cells of the body. And through that, a form of Kundalini metabolism is being given to the human system. And this metabolism will vary somewhat significantly from your normal metabolism, of the unawakened person. As I said before, the Kundalini will co-opt those normal processes and insert its own program of metabolism within the human. And so you can stay up late for long periods of hours. But on the other hand, at the valley end of the sine wave, you'll have to sleep for 14 hours a day. Okay, and this is also dependent upon what kind of work you're doing and your level of communication with the Kundalini within you. A lot of different factors play into this. Are there toxic residues in the food that you're eating, i.e., commercial farming as done by, Monsanto-based farming practices in the United States and other countries? That also has a different level of metabolistic quotient for the Kundalini. And the Kundalini, of course, is doing its best to take those toxins out of the food that you're eating and then put them into the fecal matter and doing its best to through the liver, through the kidneys, and through the different cleansing mechanisms within the body to try to make the blood as pure and clean as possible, even though the level of food may not be the best. Now, when I was homeless, living on the streets, you pretty much eat what you can eat, and so. I'm not saying that, oh gosh, unless you have an absolutely pure, organic, free-range, breastfed diet, that your Kundalini is going to go wrong with you. No, it will just make more of an effort to protect you against the toxins that you're consuming. However, if you don't have a challenged homeless position, as I did for a number of years, and you can make the effort to get the organic products and to eat as cleanly as you can, even to the point of growing your own vegetables and fruit trees and whatnot, then do that. Really make the effort to join with your Kundalini in creating metabolism structures that allow the Kundalini to take more energy out of the food without as much of a toxic load that is currently, more than available in the United States. I've traveled across this beautiful country and in certain parts of the world, and it's hard to find organic food. I hate to say it, but it's true. I mean, here in Sonoma County, California, on the west coast of the United States, we've got the perfect region there for growing organic food. I mean, literally, if you want to eat organic, well, move out here to Sonoma County. Drop me a line, say hello. But not the rest of the country isn't really set up like that. Right now, the winter is starting to come on, and we've been having rain here, and I'm pretty sure people have been having snow in other areas. You can't really grow your broccoli even though that's a winter crop, you can't grow it in some parts of this country. And so, yes, you'd have to go to a store to get it. Now, there are some stores like Whole Foods and some cooperatives throughout the country that do partake of the organic foods, and I would definitely encourage you to seek them out in and around the areas where you live, so that you too can participate in this type of a dietary structure. This will have a direct effect on the metabolism. Okay, most important with metabolism is you letting the Kundalini choose your food, you letting the Kundalini choose whether or not you eat at all. Sometimes the Kundalini will inflict a fast on you so that you can have an accelerated metabolism for lipidosis and for other types of internal cleansing modalities that the Kundalini will bring together. And sometimes the body needs to be stressed in the amount of food that it's allowed to take in. Digestion takes a lot of energy in the body, which is why, if we eat a big meal, then, we kind of feel like we need to sit down in that chair and watch TV or just go straight to bed. I would not recommend going straight to bed. I would recommend maybe taking a walk, a gentle, easy walk around the block or something like that, and then sit in your chair and then go to bed. Always remember that after a big meal, within a metabolism context, your triglyceride count is very important, especially if you're overweight. You want to pay attention to your triglycerides. You don't want to go into doing any kind of really heavy activity, because that can really put a tremendous load on the heart. And, you can give yourself a heart attack if you eat a huge meal like, say, what you might have at Christmas dinner. Then you go out and you try to play soccer, play a game of soccer. That may not be the best move for you, and so you want to take care, and look into your triglycerides and other areas of the metabolism structures within the body that could be damaged by too much activity too soon after a big meal. Now, of course, the Kundalini, as I mentioned before, being a force of divine, can override any and all of these systems. It can correct any and all of these systems. But what you have to do is surrender. Surrender to this process. Surrender to the kind of food you're being given to eat. Surrender to the amount of time you're given to sleep. Surrender to the amount of time you're given to not sleep. One of the hardest things for people is to change what they think are the amount of hours they need sleep. When Kundalini comes in and changes the metabolism, well, your sleep requirements also change. And as these sleep requirements change, well, there's the big fight between the ego and the Kundalini. The ego says, well, I don't know about you, but I need 8 hours of sleep. And the Kundalini is going, you only need 5. And the ego is going, no, I need 8. And the Kundalini says, my child, you only need 5. But you can try for 8 if you wish. The person will get 5 hours sleep, and the ego is still in defiance of the Kundalini, and so the person feels very tired and somewhat stressed throughout their day because they didn't get the amount of time that their ego thinks is appropriate for them, because they're so used to getting 8 hours of sleep. And so I want to really encourage those of you who are listening to surrender your ego to the Kundalini. Surrender your expectations of what has worked for you your entire life. Surrender that to the Kundalini and let the Kundalini begin its changes upon you. The changes aren't going to be just of a metabolism nature. They're going to be throughout the entire 5-body system of the human being: the physical body, mental body, egoic body, spiritual body, and emotional body. All of these bodies are being changed and transformed, often at the same time. And so a whole plethora phenomena, may come to a person, and the metabolism just being one of many. But the metabolism is a very, very, very important aspect of the Kundalini awakening person's experience, and this can go right into the emotional body, because how you feel will become an emotional issue. It's like, oh, geez, I didn't get my 8 hours of sleep last night. Oh my God. And now I have to go to work, I have to drive to work, I have to do all this, listen to these people. Oh my God, life is just terrible. And so on and so forth. And instead of allowing the ego to destroy your day, I want you to welcome the gift that the Kundalini is bringing you through an altered metabolism. The gift of not needing 8 hours of sleep, the gift of needing only 5. And only 5 hours for a certain amount of time until the Kundalini comes back around again and saying, okay, I'm going to shorten this to 3, or I'm going to extend this to 9 or 12 hours sleep. I know I used to sleep, when I could, 14 hours a day for the transformation to be given. And, a lot of work happens in the sleep period. And so it's not just because of a lack of energy that the Kundalini is changing in you. It's not like that at all. Sorry, I turned my phone off and it makes that funny noise. It's not just that. I mean, there are other processes of a divine nature, of a divine transformation that are occurring with the Kundalini while the person is sleeping. You got to remember that when you sleep, your ego is no longer engaged, or it is engaged in the dream life, which takes it away from blocking the Kundalini during the sleep period, and the Kundalini is free to work as much as it wants to work within the dream life of the person. And so, but it'll change. It'll change. The Kundalini may only need that for 5 hours instead of 8. Maybe it'll need it for 14. Maybe it'll bring it down to 3 or 4 hours. Some people don't sleep at all. There's a saint in India, a woman, who hasn't slept for years. And, that is definitely a divine skill to not sleep. So sleep is just one aspect of it. Let's talk about your day-to-day energetic requirements. Within a Kundalini context, I'm once again I'm going to say, don't drink the caffeine. Stop with the stimulants. Really, stop with the stimulants. Your body doesn't need those stimulants. Your ego may need those stimulants. Your workmates may need those stimulants, but you don't need the stimulants anymore with the Kundalini. Okay, stop with the stimulants. Give your adrenals a break. The last thing you want to do is have adrenal burnout. I mean, that can really, really upset the apple cart, so to speak. So give it a break. No processed high fructose corn syrups. That's also a stimulant. That's, and there's an addictive quality to that too. This Monsanto generated food product from corn. Stay away from the high fructose corn syrup. Stay away from artificial white sugars or even brown sugars that are just white sugars covered with a little bit of molasses to make them look brown, and so they can market it as a organic brown sugar. No. I mean, the kind of sugars that are really best for an individual would be honey. Okay. A lot of people like to use stevia. I don't use stevia. I just typically don't eat a lot of sugar until I'm compelled to by the Kundalini. So, for instance, today I haven't had any sugar at all, and I'm drinking my green tea, which I admit does have a little bit of caffeine in it, but a lot of my changes have already occurred. The people that I'm talking to with regards to caffeine are people that haven't had those changes occur yet. So these would be people within the first 5 years of their Kundalini awakening experience. Now, if you have any questions about what I've been discussing up to this point, please give me a call at 347-934-0026, 347-934-0026. And I'm going to go ahead and have Amelia come on. Hello, Amelia. Oh, my.
Hi, Chrism. Hello.
Hey.
There's a comment here from Julie, if I can read it out to you.
Please do.
In the chat room, yeah. She says, living in Iowa, there aren't many resources for organic, but she has moved to, she has moved to South Carolina, and it's fairly abundant. And she has been making changes with her husband, with herself and her husband's diet, quite a bit in the last 2 weeks.
Well, congratulations, Julie. Yeah, that was a great move that you made. And it surprises me that Ohio doesn't have more of an organic option. I understand that most of Iowa is covered in either soybeans or corn, and most of those soybeans and corn are under Monsanto regulation, and so of course they wouldn't be organic. They would be of the toxic food. But I've been to Ohio and I like the state. I've been to Iowa as well, and I think organic farming would be a great boon to those areas. And of course, North Carolina and South Carolina. Well, you're in the Sun Belt down there, and there's a lot more, I think, growing in general because of the climate, and then you would have more of an option for organic foods. What a blessing you are to your husband and son, Julie, a Kundalini awakening mother and wife. What a lucky husband and what a lucky son. Thank you for the comment. Amelia.
Yes, Chrism?
Have you had periods of longer than wished for sleep or anything of that nature?
Yeah, with regard to sleep, I have. I'm actually going through that at the moment again. Typically my sleep has got shorter. I would have had, and I still do have, the waking up in the middle of the night, where I might spend an hour or two completely awake. What is happening lately for me, Chrism, is that I'm getting very little sleep. I'm waking up at maybe 2 o'clock, and I'm not able to go back to bed until 6, and then I'm really not really going back to bed at 6. So I'm getting maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep at the moment. But the thing about it...
Yeah, go ahead.
But the thing about... typically, I noticed today now, for example, I crashed this evening, but it's a matter of allowing that to happen as well, rather than feeling my energy is very good. When I'm up during the night and that, I'm in no way tired. I'm not fighting it. I'm just allowing it to be. And I do things during the night. I spend time, I meditate, I do some work. I'm just very much awake. Sometimes it was a full moon. Sometimes I'd go out for a little walk in the night. And that's very nice. I felt last night my energy was very, very intense. So then it's good to go out into the grass and maybe ground a bit as well.
Very good, very good. Yeah. Now, have you done any prolonged fasting out there in Ireland?
Prolonged fasting? No, but I have been given to eat. Oh, yes, I have.
Okay, all right. And you have been given to eat what?
Well, I have been given to eat very specific things and to drop eating very specific things. I think I spoke about that before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah. So thank you, Amelia Centaur. Yeah. It's very important for the people to pay attention to the Kundalini requirements for food. Now, okay, I was traveling with Magdalene de Deus in France, and I would say the Germans and the French are pretty much ahead of a lot of the folks in Europe as far as organics go, but you don't really get to find too much of it. I mean, I was lucky to find organic apple juice, in the different places that we went. So it's not out there for everyone, but it is there, and you do, if you just look around a little bit in the area where you're at, you can find the organic groceries. They will have a positive effect on your metabolism. They will have a positive effect on how the Kundalini is converting your metabolic structures in the human system. More of a divine light comes in, and I'm trying to find a way, I'm searching right now to find a way to divine, or to give you a word for the light that the Kundalini, the light that the Kundalini emits is almost a physical property. And it's not just, it's not so open to the visual spectrum, although some people can see it. It's not a hard light, but it is a light that is almost like a plasma, almost like the mix between a laser and a plasma. And this light that the Kundalini brings from itself and into the body is largely what does a lot of the transforming. And so, this is what people see when they're staring at you, or this is what people respond to when, when they want to touch you, or hold something that you've held, or sit where you've been sitting, and things of that nature. They sense this plasmic form of light. Well, this plasmic form of light is what is suffusing the body and changing the cells. And it's not just with the metabolism, although it does, within the metabolistic structures, it's changing the way the body is appreciating energy. It's actually, it's an override control, is a way to put it. It overrides the body's normal control mechanisms, certainly with metabolism, but in other areas as well. Everything from mental acuity to emotional sensitivity to sexual awareness to metabolism, so on and so forth. I mean, it overrides the control structures for the complete body, but it doesn't do it in a way that is foreign to the body, because once again, it bears repeating. The body is wired to have Kundalini. Every single body that has a spine is wired to have the Kundalini. Doesn't mean that it's going to come out of dormancy just because the wiring is there. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that when that person is ready to have the Kundalini, either through self-realization or through Shaktipat or through a sporting accident, this stuff happens. The Kundalini will come up, and that will begin the metabolic and the other responses that the Kundalini has for the physical system. I'm just going to ask people. I should have asked this earlier. The sound is coming through okay? Can you answer me there on the chat group there? I have an eye on you right now. I just want to make sure that I'm not talking to a blank desk here. Anybody? It looks like Julie's talking. Yes, the sound is good? Okay, well, I'll take that yes. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good, Chrism. John just popped his head in and said yes.
Thank you, John.
From next door.
Thank you, John, and for that kindness, may you win the next hand.
Could I ask you a question, Chrism, when you're ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the way the heat in the body is, is the male, and the cold is the divine female. But lately, the heat in my body, Oh, it is amazingly intense, and not only that, but it is wet and it is really, really intense. Now, it's not menopausal or anything like that, and it's definitely Kundalini. And I'm just wondering, too, is it connected into metabolism?
Oh yeah. But that's actually more connected into the plasma, the plasma light that I was talking about. And say, hello, Chrism Harris. I see you typing there. Hello to you. Nice to see you joining us. Yeah, absolutely. And welcome to my world with the heat there, Amelia Centaur. Yeah, what that is that's actual heat. Part of it is taken from the energetic quotient within the body that is being utilized by the Kundalini, and another part of that just comes with the Kundalini of its own. Let me give you an example of that. Would be the cold, the extreme cold that the sacred feminine can pump into the body. There is not an organ of generation in the body that can pump that degree of cold, of freezing, molten freezing metal. And I mean, when I say molten freezing metal, it's just like when you drop the degrees of metal to a point, the metal will begin to melt through the severity of freezing. And I'm just using that as a way of describing how absolutely freezing cold, this liquid cold can come into your body, and there is no organ or metabolic origin for this energy that is coming into the body. And so in much the same way is the heat also generated that way. Now, the body will respond to it. So the body will respond to this amazing level of cold that the sacred female can put into the body. It will respond. It'll try to shiver. It will try to cover itself up. It will try to drink something hot. It will try to get into a warm bath. But none of that will work because it is of this physical nature and not of the physical nature at the same time, which is exactly what a person is becoming. Through Kundalini transformation, you are becoming of this world and of another world at the same time. This is what people have to understand. And this doesn't mean that, you have an advantage over other people, or that, you can go around saying, I walk in two worlds. You only walk in one. No, you can't do that, because walking in two worlds is far more difficult and far more of a lifetime learning scenario than any kind of a competitive type of attitude like I just described is an attitude of the ego, and that attitude will have its, shall we say, proper response mitigated to it. And so walking in two worlds can be really, really, really hard. And as Amelia described, the heat that is just amazing. And I have this heat too. And it just, it doesn't matter, how cold it is outside. You're warm on the inside. I mean, you're sweating in a freezing rainstorm. I mean, you're sweating. You're taking off the clothes. People are putting on the clothes. Okay, and it's the same, but the reverse. When the sacred feminine comes in, it brings that absolutely stunning, freezing liquid into your veins. And it's not a liquid. I'm just using that as a way to describe how it feels. And so yeah, it'll come in. It'll come in that way, and it comes in strong. The whole metabolism is being taken into a transformation. I will use the word ascension only because ascension is an indication of for me at least, a blending into the two worlds. You will have the Kundalini metabolism in the physical and in the spiritual world that you are being birthed into. And many of the structures and many of the energetic requirements that the Kundalini is guiding you towards are for the nutrients that the body requires in the new world or the second world that the person is walking into. And it doesn't mean that you have to see the entities or you have to, that everything is going to be visually of a different nature. You have to understand that people are unique. People come into this with a different level of karma. For each person, it's a different level of karma. And for that different level of karma will be given different phenomena associated with that karma. And so I may be able to see entities and have seen entities since I was 5. It doesn't matter. The next person will go, "What are you talking about? I don't see anything." And the next person will go, "Well, I can hear them and I can smell them, but I can't see them." Okay, so you'll find people that have similar experiences as you do. I mean, we are unique, but we do share traits as well. We do share some of the phenomenal traits that come with the Kundalini. Seeing entities at all would be a shared phenomenal trait. Having Kriyas would be a shared phenomenal trait. The hot, the cold, the roving temperatures. You can have the right side of the body really hot, the left side of the body really cold, and you as an ego are just, you're kind of being pulled this way or that with it, and that's why it's so important for people to completely surrender themselves to the Kundalini. If you have any questions, please call this number 347-934-0026. And let's see, okay, all right. Checking the chat group here, no questions there. Okay, so as the Kundalini plasmic light continues its transformational aspect around the body, the phenomena may begin to represent what is occurring within the body, as within, so without, as above, so below. That type of an equation can develop. It's going to be really hard for those of you who do not have a very good control over the ego to deal with these things. Sometimes, as I mentioned about 2 minutes ago, the changes in the body are not for this physical world, but they're for the other world. This is how you can all of a sudden be only given to eat vegetables. And then, to narrow it down even further, just a certain range of vegetables. No fruits, no nuts, okay, no soya, no whatever, right? The Kundalini will begin to narrow that down, and that is for the lightness of the person coming into it. And it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're not an omnivore anymore. It just means for that time being, while these transformations are taking place, that you're not an omnivore. Within metabolistic structures, I'm going to suggest that people do not become vegan, V-E-G-A-N. And let me repeat that. Do not become vegan while you're having a Kundalini experience. It can be very, very damaging to the Kundalini process itself, unless the Kundalini is driving you in that way. And then, of course, I'm still saying get your vitamin D, get your pantothenic acid, get all of these other things from whatever sources. It doesn't mean that you can't be a vegetarian. It just means within the terms of veganism, V-E-G-A-N-I-S-M, this is not particularly conducive to Kundalini transformations within the understanding of metabolism. And in general health of the body as well. Veganism is detrimental to most bodies. Now, there are some people that can handle it, but most people need their niacin and their vitamin B12 and the things that the body can't produce of its own. To be a vegetarian, well, that's fine. Just use some dairy. Eat some eggs. People who know me close, and I'm not a real egg eater, but I'll tell you what, I will eat eggs if the Kundalini in me is pushing me into a vegetarian role, which it has done. I ate the eggs. Don't even try to get me to eat mushrooms, though. That's a different subject. So yeah, within the context of the diet, do not become vegan. Yes, if the Kundalini is compelling you to become a vegetarian, then become a vegetarian. Yes. If the Kundalini is telling you to eat as much meat as possible and no veggies and no fruits, then you become that carnivore. You know? Have them cook it the way you like it. Okay, but don't run away from that. Don't think that you're not being as spiritual as a vegan person or a vegetarian person. The vegan person is only becoming spiritual because they're becoming closer to death than either of the other two options. So, you know, their spirituality is assured if they can survive it. But the omnivore really is the middle path. That is the path that the Kundalini will encourage people to take. I don't care what shape your teeth are in. I don't care that you don't have fangs or teeth shaped like a wolf's teeth. I don't care. You know, the fact of the matter is that an omnivore diet partakes of different levels of proteins and probably the most diverse levels of proteins that are available on this planet, as opposed to a carnivore or strictly a vegetarian creature. And so these foods will have a direct effect on your metabolism. So I want you to once again pay very close attention to how the Kundalini feels when you walk down the food aisle. Is it your ego that wants to have that honey-baked ham? Not that I would ever promote that, but I guess I just did. Is it your ego that wants to have that, or is the Kundalini saying, yeah, you really need that honey-baked ham? I'm not going to put anything past the Kundalini to suggest for any one individual. You know, I try not to be absolutist. I don't eat pork products, but that's just me. You know, other people eat pork products just fine. But yeah, really check with yourself. Check in your interior self about how and why this food has all of a sudden become attractive to you. Don't be afraid to question your ego. And if you can determine that it's Kundalini, never question that. Kundalini is your high self. Kundalini is your inner divine. It knows you better than you know you or ever will know yourself. You know, until you die and you partake in the building of another body. Okay. So within a metabolism context, really let the Kundalini choose your food. It's choosing them for very, very specific reasons. And if you can avoid the canned food for that chemical that they put into all canned products, I don't care if it's organic or not, there's a chemical that they put on the inside of the can that preserves and keeps the food in a chemical state that has been shown to give people cancer, to give the poor fellow mortals that they tested it on, rats and dogs and cats and whatnot. You know, it's been shown to develop cancers in those creatures, and may God forgive our scientists for doing that to those creatures. Yeah, if you can avoid the canned products, then fine. If you're using canned products as a way of storage or for an emergency or something like that, that's just fine. That's just fine. The Kundalini will use your organs of filtration to take out as much of that toxic load as possible. I think it's called bisphenol something. Bisphenol. You guys know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. It's why the plastic bottles are now bisphenol free, that type of thing. Same thing goes into the cans. If you have any questions about your metabolism, 347-934-0026. Metabolism and the Kundalini is the subject today. If you're on the chat group and you want to type out a question, please do so. And Amelia Centaro or myself will catch it, and we'll go ahead and read it out over the air. I'm going to come back over here to Rosemary. Hello, Rosemary. I'm going to put you on here. Hi, Rosemary. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. She's listening, but she's probably stepping away from the phone. So, Rosemary, she's on a very special Kundalini-infused diet, and if she wants to come on, then we'll go ahead and talk to her about her diet. My diet these days is very simple. One thing that I will encourage everybody to have for their metabolism is a banana. Have a banana in the morning, along with the watermelon. If you're in the Kundalini heat stage, like Amelia is, then you can't get the watermelon these days in Ireland or even in Northern California for that matter. Although I have to say, the one watermelon that I grew in my garden, I have on the table right now. And any of you that would like that watermelon, let me know, and I will save you a slice. You come right on over and you can pick that slice up. Hi, Rosemary.
Hi. Yes. I think I couldn't. I pushed the button the wrong direction. Can you hear me, Amelia?
Yep, I can hear you fine.
Okay, thank you. I pushed the wrong button before, but I've been listening from the beginning. Very grateful.
Hey, so when you do your eating, are you paying attention to what the Kundalini tells you to eat?
I'm learning because I've done very healthy for the last 7-8 years. Really, I basically eat what my body is needing, and I get some help sometimes from people with that expertise. But I've done that by the general, commonly understood, and I haven't eaten sugar for years, or fatty food or any of that. Those high sugar drinks or caffeine. So I believe, if I look at it in the bigger picture, that it was Kundalini through those people who was leading me to be eating healthy so that I would be healthy. And when you have said before about examples, if you and I do eat protein and eggs and meat and beef once a week and fish at least once a day, and
once a day you eat fish once a day?
I am sensing a little bit of direction. My challenge is learning to pay attention to that and to trust it, because I know some of this restrictions on my food came from just the habit of being a compulsive eater.
Right. And so now you're learning to discern what the Kundalini is guiding you to eat.
Yeah, just being open to the fact that, and it is truly one's ego for sure, and it has served me well. I'm very healthy, and I'm not on any medications, and I'm an older person, so I know I'm healthy. And it's saying.
And you're eating fish every day?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There you go, folks. Live a long and healthy life, and have fish every day. Don't forget to thank the fish.
I never do that. Thank you.
I have fish out here. I have 5 fish, goldfish, and once you get to know fish and they get to know you, you can see that they're no slouches there either. They're very smart. They're very cogent to what's going on, and so some of those Andromedas fish, like I think that's the correct term. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like the salmon. The salmon, they spawn and then they die, and they give their bodies to the environment, and that would include the bears and the cougars, but also the people. Okay, and I'm not talking about factory farming. This is not okay at all. This factory farming. The Japanese are raping the seabed, and it's bad enough. They've got their hands full right now, the Japanese people, with Fukushima and all of that. Okay, let's talk about Fukushima and the radioactive effects upon your metabolism. Do purchase a product that I use every day called Atomidine, Atomidine. It's oral iodine, and you can take a drop. A drop will have about 600 micrograms of iodine in it, and the iodine can help a body that's coming into contact with radioactive isotopes. I'm not saying that it's not, if you get so much isotope action in your body, I mean, it's just going to kill you. But I don't know what levels that Fukushima's putting into the atmosphere. I know that there's a lot more being put into the ocean, and the ocean is where those factory farm ships are harvesting. And you may want to go to your grocery store with a Geiger counter when it comes to the seafood that you may be consuming in the next 6 months. It's quite possible that they've come in contact with the radioactive water releases that are coming out of Fukushima at this time. And then the question, the easy question can be, well, what does the Kundalini do about the radioactivity? Well, it will begin to adjust your body. It will begin to adjust the thyroid. It will begin to adjust the levels of T3 and T4 and the TSH components of the thyroid that are being injected into the bloodstream. You will adapt. Your body will adapt. It doesn't mean that that it won't negatively impact your health. It may very well negatively impact your health, especially if you're eating all these other toxic-infused forms of cancer-causing food that Monsanto is really interested in promoting. The radioactivity, we're not going to be able to get away from that. Now, let's remember that uranium is natural to this earth. It's just not so natural to have so much of it collected and into one mass. And the same with plutonium and all of these things are of the earth. They are natural of the earth, but they have been unnaturally pushed together by the egos of men and men and women. And this is what is leading us into a Fukushima type of disaster. You'll know, you can look up radiation poisoning on the internet, and you can find, the hair will fall out, you may develop skin lesions, skin may begin to fall off, that type of thing. That's pretty severe stuff. I'm not suggesting that with regards to the oceans and the atmosphere, but I am suggesting that your metabolism is going to be affected through radioactive increases in the water of the ocean and in the air of the atmosphere. And those of you that have the Kundalini, your bodies will adapt. Those that don't have the Kundalini and are not eating well, they may have more of a challenge. They may be more affected by the amount of radioactivity coming out of Fukushima and coming out in other areas too that are not open to media outlets, shall we say. We're not being told everything that's being placed into the waters and the atmosphere and the earth, just so you know. Anyway, so if you have a question about that, Kundalini and the Fukushima, or Kundalini and your metabolism, please feel free to call area code 347-934-0026. 347-934-0026. And
I have a question, Chrism. Hi. The way you speak about kidneys as an organ in relation, or adrenals in relation to the Kundalini, could you say something about the liver? I'm having some pain in that area. I'm just wondering, could you say something specific about the liver?
Well, if you're the Kundalini, the liver is another filtration organ like the kidneys. The adrenals are not so filtrating, but the kidneys are blood filters. But so is the liver. The liver, you have two lobes of you have two parts of the liver. You have the main aspect of the liver, and then you have another aspect that's connected to it. That's where the blood is detoxed, really. The liver collects it and secretes it into the waste material that the body comes with. The Kunalini, the liver takes on a dual role. It takes on not only the detoxing of the blood and of the food supply, but also of what's the word? I'll just use malevolent emotional qualities. It also has the effect of giving a person extreme levels of energy. In your context, I mean, here's the thing, folks. I mean, because Amelia asked me the question, my Kundalini goes straight into Amelia's special equation, and this is what happens with everybody that calls in. In the context of I can't say completely about your process, Amelia, because it's too personal. But within the context of livers in general, stay away from alcohol. Stay away from alcohol.
I do. I just want the listeners to know that.
Stay away from the alcohol. If you feel like you have a liver toxicity issue, what they've used in Europe, in the emergency rooms in Europe, is Silymarin. And I always pronounce it Silymarin. It just seems to make so much more sense to me that way. But it's spelled S-I-L-Y-M as in Mary, A-R-I-N as in Nancy. Silymarin. And that goes, I take a couple of capsules of those every day just because of the pollution that I breathe through the air. Well, that goes straight into your lungs, that goes straight into your bloodstream, that goes from your bloodstream straight into your liver, and you build up a toxic load in your liver. And so I take the Silymarin to mitigate some of that. And in addition, the Kundalini compels me to do that because it wants me to learn how to take advantage of the gifts of grace that are already on this world instead of just relying on the Kundalini. See, I surrender completely to the Kundalini, but the Kundalini says, oh, hey, okay, there's stuff there on this planet that you're at that is just as conducive at detoxing a certain body organ as praying to me to do it for you. And so I'm relaying this information to you. The question comes to mind in some listeners, I'm sure, well, geez, Louise, if the Kundalini is such a great divine goddess, God, whatever, why do you need to do anything? Just let it do everything for you. Well, that's not the way it works. Kundalini is not there to take the place of your discipline, of your initiative, of your motivation, of your spiritual expression. It's part of an evolutionary process where you've gone through so many lives on this world, you've gone through a certain amount of spiritual maturation that it's time for you to be able to walk in this world and another world at the same time. Okay? It will help you far more in the other world than it should have to in this world. You should have to take some responsibility. And I get that pushed at me a lot. When I say, Kundalini, go to Amelia and she's got a hangnail on her little toe. Could you go and heal Amelia's hangnail on her little toe? And the Kundalini will go, no. Let Amelia heal her own hangnail. No offense, Amelia. I'm just using that as an example. I'm not even sure you can get a hangnail on the little toe. Maybe you can. Anyway, so with the liver can under severe toxic levels, which I kind of grew up with in the 60s and 70s. Farming then, we were just starting to, all the commercial farmers were spraying their fields with this and that, DDT. Remember what happened to the brown pelicans and the DDT? Well, that was being sprayed all on everybody's food, okay? And so within that context, we were poisoning ourselves, and we still are. We're just doing it in a different way, using political protocol rather than correct farming protocols. But the liver was there to detox it. Okay, and if you're having pain in the liver, then you may have some liver stones that you can get rid of. And there's some liver cleanses that are very helpful, and Salimarin is one of those. So Amelia, for you, I would suggest that you look to see if you can get Sylymmarin in Ireland.
That's really interesting. I bought this today, Sylybum, and then Marinum, milk thistle. Is that what you're speaking about?
That is exactly what I'm speaking of.
Oh my God. I bought that yesterday. And it's not so much pain, it's discomfort. It's like I can feel my liver the way I used to be able to feel my kidneys. I know exactly where it is.
Well, that's right. And it's also an indication of trapped energy in your liver.
Okay.
If you do any of the hot yoga, I don't know if they have that in Ireland, but if you do the hot yoga, there's a couple stretches inside the hot yoga, 26 positions or poses that really release levels of energy from the liver. And I would suggest for those that can do the hot yoga safely, meaning safely, then there are a few moves towards the end of that routine that will release energetic loads from the liver. But also just doing some severe exercise and stretches. And maybe for you, Amelia, do some yoga, gentle back stretches on the beach there after you kind of walk down to the beach, as you've been instructed to do. And do some yoga on the beach. Really, even here in the wintertime, I know it's cold, but you're not really cold, are you?
No, I have my own hot yoga going on.
That's right. You've got the eternal hot yoga going on, and so for you, there is no need to button up or do anything like that. You can just go outdoors and just start walking down to the ocean. I think you're about a mile away, right? Is that about a mile? Maybe a little more.
Yeah. Yeah, about that.
Now, don't watch the waves. My mom always said, never turn your back on the ocean. And I'll since you've met my mother, then I will pass that on to you. So the liver has a lot of energy in it. If you're not exercising, if you're not twisting, if you're not doing...
I'm not, Chrism, actually. I'm not. And I had been doing months back. I'm actually not exercising. So that's interesting to know. Yeah.
So get on it, girl.
Okay. I shall.
Get on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that goes for any of you that are having kidney pain or liver pain, anything of that. And I don't mean, if you're having excruciating pain, then I want you to go to the ER. I'm not going to be irresponsible and say that all doctors don't know what they're doing, even though, some of them don't. You get on over to the ER and let them do tests on you. Don't let them, take your kidneys out or, take your liver out. I mean, I don't know that they're lining up to do that anyway, but, always get a second or third opinion before, you start losing an organ. And also look at the ductless glands. All the ductless glands that are in the body are there for a reason. And, the surgeons just love to take out gallbladders. Oh, gosh, your gallbladder's got a little nick in it. We'll just have to take that thing out. Don't let them take away. Don't let them harvest your organs just for their ego, their ego expression. Just don't do that. Say is going to be if you take out your gallbladder or any of the other organs that they want to harvest off of a person. And I'm saying harvest. I'm not using it in the terms for to be put into other people. They just want to take them out and toss them in the trash and then think that's going to be better. I would just assume you keep the organs in the body the way they're meant to be. This is what your Kundalini is working with. All the organs have more than one meaning. The scientific meaning of a certain organ, like, say, the gallbladder, does not in any way come close to the entire picture that the gallbladder is giving. I mean, you only have to look into traditional Chinese medicine to see other aspects of what the gallbladder is used for. You know, the ability to make a decision. You know, that comes from the gallbladder. You know, largely, that emotion, that part of the emotional body is centered in the gallbladder. Not all of it, but a good part of it is. The ability to make a decision. Think about that before you let them yank it out. Yeah, I'm not a real fan of well, anyway, you guys kind of get that point. If you have any questions, 347-934-0026. If you have questions about your metabolism in general, I know that we have a few folks on the Yahoo group that are having trouble with sleeping, that are they're beginning to emerge into the other worlds, and it's scaring them to pieces. And so what's happening is their metabolism is being increased due to the levels of fear that they're allowing themselves to experience. And I'm just going to say this again: surrender to the Kundalini. Use the word Kundalini. Surrender to the Kundalini and have faith that you will not be hurt. You will not be harmed. Yes, you may experience new things. Yes, you may see new things. Yes, new things may come your way, but that's not necessarily bad. You don't get Kundalini by accident. So trust it. It is a part of your evolution. It is not anything to be afraid of. If there are fears that are being injected into this process, it is happening from your ego, not from the Kundalini. It's your ego's response to the Kundalini, and of course that war of wills, that the Kundalini agenda versus the ego will, and the ego will typically lose. And if it doesn't lose cleanly, it will lose in a dirty way by just leaving a lot of fear and a lot of negativity in its wake. And I just want you to relax, breathe, and if you're not being allowed to sleep, then don't try to sleep. Don't push the Kundalini to get into some areas of severe disruption within you, which it will do. If you keep trying to interrupt that agenda, the Kundalini is going to push itself harder into your system. And then we get into areas of Kundalini syndrome, where the person is constantly pushing the agenda and their own ego agenda, and the Kundalini is saying, well, honey, I think you've got some things to learn, and the Kundalini will really, really, really begin to unload itself in a way that allows you to learn that it's the Kundalini that is in charge now, not you, not your mental self, not your ego self. It's the Kundalini, and the Kundalini is what will be working your metabolism, all the aspects of your metabolism. You have to remember that.
Chrism?
Yes.
May I interrupt you? Because we have Debbie online and she'd like to ask a question.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi. I'm sorry. I saw about the Kundalini and metabolism, and I tuned in a little late. But I'm wondering if people are having problems with their vision, because I thought my glasses were bad or my blood sugar was bad. So I go to the eye doctor yesterday, and he told me it is a ocular migraine where my endocrine system is messing with my vision, and then it goes right back normal.
Do you have Kundalini?
I believe so, yes.
Now, what would make
when I meditate, I vibrate.
You vibrate? Go ahead. Is that about it?
No, I go in like a little circle, and beyond that, I've been having, spiritual phenomena happen. I think I've been in the process for a couple of years.
All right. Well, yeah. So your eye doctor, he doesn't know about Kundalini, so he can't really take that into consideration. What he'll tell you is the basic phenomena that they're used to seeing within, like an ocular migraine type of situation. But the Kundalini will have a direct effect on your vision because it has a direct effect on your endocrine system. Okay, and your endocrine system has a direct effect on your metabolism system. So it's all connected in. And so what you're having a vision go and then it comes back? Is that it?
Yes, it goes blurry, and then I'll think I need new glasses, and I go, and then it's back normal.
Well, now
it's very aggravating.
Is it? I can imagine, especially when you're driving. Is it where it just blurs out, like you have a really, really relaxed gaze, like you're gazing off into a sunset and things kind of go fuzzy a little bit? Is it like that?
Yeah, like I have to squint more. And someone said there was ascension symptoms, another, spiritual lady, but she didn't tell me anything beyond that.
No, I mean, if you have Kundalini at all, then your whole life is one big ascension symptom. Right. So yes, of course, the Kundalini does have a definite agenda here with you having this symptom. As I look at you, I'm getting a visual of an eye, and I'm seeing keratin. Are you doing anything that? Well, this is what I'm seeing. You need fresh pressed carrot juice every day.
Okay.
And I mean, the fresh organic. Where are you? What state are you in?
Louisiana. I've lived all over, though.
Yeah, well, you might be able to get that in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
You may be able to get that. Fresh pressed carrot juice. There's also an eyebright tea.
Okay.
Okay. But most of all, this is not something that you need to change your glasses for. Okay, this is not something that...
He told me I could keep my glasses. I was like, I thought he was going to say they got worse or better, and
no.
I was shocked.
No.
I was shocked.
No. This is basically the Kundalini's sine wave activity going into your vision. Okay, so at the peak of the phenomena, your eyes go blurry, and then on the downside and into the valley, the eyes straighten up. Somewhere in between those two areas, the Kundalini it affects the eyes in spectacular ways. I mean, at a distance, you can go macro. Okay, so what I think may be occurring for you is your eyes are being changed, transformed into eyes that can see in many different ways. So, for instance, when I say macro, so you're sitting on a park bench and there's another park bench, a few yards away. You see a fly land on the other park bench that's away from you, and you can zoom in really close. Okay, but in order for that to occur, the eye has to go through a new polaric balancing, and I don't mean polaric as far as polaric energy. I mean going to the extended poles of how you see. So for instance, if your visual polarities are like 1 to 5, well, the Kundalini is extending them to -10 to +10. Your horizons, your visual horizons, are being broadened, and this also has the effect of how your eyes are able to witness spiritual events as well. So, if, within the Kundalini context of your vision, your eyes can be conditioned and may be conditioned in order to see spiritual phenomena at the same time that you see physical phenomena. This is what I have. Okay. It can be quite interesting to see spiritual phenomena as easily as you see physical phenomena. Not something I write about too much because, it can be, it will have a direct effect upon the reality matrix that a person has become used to. But because you're meditating, because you feel that you've been going through this for a while, I'm just going to give you a heads up that your eyes are being transformed by the Kundalini. You don't need new glasses. You don't need new glasses. You just need to accept this. This is not a permanent thing. I'd be very, very surprised to see this last more than 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Like many of the Kundalini phenomena, it will last a certain amount of time, and then it just goes away. Then the transformation has been made. The transformation has been made, and it goes away. Okay, just like Kriyas. You don't get Kriyas for the rest of your life unless you're a very special person and you're having electrical Kriyas. Those can last a much longer time period. But you might just consider this a retinal Kriya.
I do affect electricity. Like if I'm mad, I can break it really easy or pop light bulbs.
Yeah.
That's lasted kind of a couple of years, though.
That's okay.
That's okay?
But yeah, I mean, it's, that's not the phenomena that you really want to focus on. You want to focus on...
No, I don't.
Yeah. You want to focus on your truth, on your love, and your service, and your compassion, and your trust, and your faith, and your diligence of surrender to the Kundalini. These are the areas that are the most important to work on within a Kundalini evolutionary foundation. And, I want to congratulate you for having the Kundalini. It's not a common thing. It may seem common these days on the Internet because the Kundalini is becoming the new, what would it be, the new Reiki or something like that.
No, it scared me. It happened 10 years ago when I started taking a healing class. And I would vibrate in a circle, and I purposely tried to shut it down by eating meat, anything dense. I mean, it was still natural, but anything that would slow a vibration down because I was not ready for it then.
Obviously, you are now, though. So congratulations.
Okay.
Now,
Thank
while
you.
While I have you on the phone, are there any other symptoms that you're concerned with that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I went through a period where I heard bells ringing or telephones, and that stopped. Like, I didn't realize that this would stop when you just said that, but I have had things that have stopped. And I saw, like, a green arch going into my left arm, and that stopped. That lasted a couple weeks. Now that you're saying that makes sense to me. Things that were kind of weird would stop.
Yeah,
it was just like half of a green rainbow. Every night it would be in my bathtub.
Well, there you go. That sounds like a very loving bathtub.
Yeah.
Now,
it was just the one side, too, just the left arm, forearm.
But with your eyes, be prepared to see more of the floating suns or entities or even emotional bands that surround a person's, auric viewing. Kundalini will change those eyes, and when those eyes go unfocused is when you can see the other visions.
Okay. I still had a commission when that happens. Like, forget it. I can't do anything.
Well, maybe that's also something to consider. Maybe that for that moment in time you shouldn't be doing anything.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't really get to pick and choose how the Kundalini expresses its agenda upon us. That's where the surrender comes. And when you first started 10 years ago, when it first started to come to you and you resisted it, well, you were very lucky in the sense that it decided that it could wait a decade for you. It could wait a decade.
I did a bunch of spiritual work not knowing that would happen,
Well, that's what a lot of people do. And it's not a bad thing, Debbie. I have to tell you that I think that you were probably being guided to do these things so that this would occur.
Okay.
Remember, this is a natural expression of the body. The Kundalini knows your eyes better than any optometrist or ophthalmologist would ever know. Okay, they don't know what the Kundalini knows. And the eye is a very, very special divine development. And you'll see that eyes are almost in a very similar way universal throughout the world, even on fish. You know, eyes are very, very, very special. Able to be able to see is an amazing gift. However, as your vision blurs, take note of what you're seeing in the blur. Take note of what you're seeing in the blur. Nothing is wrong. Everything is right with you.
Okay.
Your ego may not realize that. It may not know that. It may not even honor that information. But it is a truthful statement. For you to have Kundalini, far more is going right than going wrong.
Okay. Doesn't feel like it.
So
thank you very much. I just hope the endocrine system, metabolism, all that calms down. It's so hypersensitive, you know.
Well, no, don't even go there. Just accept it for as it needs to be at the time that it needs to be the way it is.
Okay.
Try not to control it. Accept it. Surrender to the grace within you. Surrender to that divine Debbie self.
Okay.
Surrender to her divinity because she knows a lot more about the body than you do.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for calling in, Debbie. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, you know, along the lines with Debbie and mentioning the endocrine system, well, the Kundalini will often affect the endocrine system first, which in turn will have a direct effect on their metabolism. And as the endocrine system changes, the metabolism changes. As the metabolism changes, energetic requirements within the body change. And as those energetic requirements change, phenomena begin to change in the body. Now, Debbie brought up a really good point that I hadn't been covering yet, so I want to say thank you again to Debbie. Is that she brought up, you know, the active change in the retina of her eye and in the iris of her eye. The ability to focus sharply goes away momentarily and then comes back. And then this is how the Kundalini changes things. Typically, it will change things a little bit, knowing that the person's going to be surprised, and then it'll come back to normal. Then change it a little bit more, and then come back to normal. Then change it a little bit more, and then come back to normal. These changes are not being given just for the fun of it. You know, the Kundalini isn't standing inside the person's head going, oh, this one's good for a laugh. Let's try this on Debbie. Not at all. There's a very, very, very specific agenda of transformation being given into Debbie. And as I mentioned earlier, as we begin to walk in the two worlds, the physical and the spiritual, there are certain organs of in this case, of sight that Debbie and other people are going to need as they begin to walk and work their way into the spiritual world. It doesn't always work the way it does here. In the next world, you can see through touch. You can see through any part of the body. The eyes are conveyances of communication, not just vision. Okay. And God, that would take a whole other show for me to go into. Maybe we'll do that. To go into how it is in the second attention or the second world with the Kundalini. A lot of you who are doing the OBE work, you may have some significant response to that type of thing. And I know that with regards to the second attention, there's a whole world. I mean, just a whole universe of information to be given there. And I think that'll be good for another show. We'll consider that. So thank you, Debbie. Thank you for calling in. The number here is 347-934-0026. I have 20 minutes left. So if anybody would like to call in, making a comment, tell me how silly I am, or how maybe closer to the truth I may be for you, feel free to call in and say that. If you have a question, feel free to call in, 347-934-0026. With regards to the changes that occur, the sine wave is also the symbol of the serpent. The serpent is that squiggly line that has a peak and a valley, and a peak and a valley, and a peak and a valley. This is often how the changes will occur. So for Debbie, as you're going, your vision's getting out of focus and then into focus, out of focus and then into focus. Another person who may be like, say, Amelia, who's really, burning the midnight coal, shall we say, within her body. When that first begins, you're only hot part of the time. So you'll get a heat wave, and you'll be going, oh my gosh, why am I having this heat flash? And if you're a woman, and you're at menopausal age, you'll go, oh, it must be menopause. Except now the cold flash comes. That's not typically experienced, within the menopausal experiences. And please correct me if I'm wrong, if that is the case. So it'll touch and go. It'll transform a little bit and then back off. Transform a little bit more and then back off. Transform more, and back off. Letting us become acclimated to the changes. It's very important to become acclimated to these changes. If we're not acclimated enough, then we're going to resist them. Our ego will resist them. And then, once again, we have that battle of the wills. The Kundalini ego versus the ego agenda versus the Kundalini agenda. And that is always going to be a losing situation for the ego, because even if the ego feels like it's winning, it's suffering so much that there is no winning. It'll go straight to a pharmacist to try to get some sort of relief from the headache or the pain that the Kundalini may be giving it due to their resistance. So don't resist the Kundalini changes. As it comes and backs off, realize that, this is the Kundalini serpent. You can even call it, the Kundalini sine wave if you're afraid of snakes. Okay? The sine wave is occurring. And this will occur really for the rest of the life. This is not something, even, yes, for Debbie, yes, that will go away. But the transformation that it is bringing doesn't go away. That exalted skill does not go away. You're going to hear a phone in the background. My apologies. So take these changes in stride. Trust your Kundalini. Trust and have faith in your Kundalini. It is here to help. It is not there to hurt. You have no reason to be afraid of the Kundalini or anything that it brings, whether it's discarnate entities or messing around with your eyes, or messing around with your internal temperature, or messing around with the levels of energy that your body uses in the ways that it uses it, and co-opting them to use the energy in different ways for different transformational needs that the body has. You let the Kundalini do its work upon you. That is one of the main messages that I've been trying to give through all of these conversations. You let the Kundalini do that work. Now I have 15 minutes. If anybody would like to call in, it is 347-934-0026. And I'd like to say hello to Texas Pearl. That's kind of a cool name. And Eileen, and guests number 2268, 2428, 2749, 4188, 4802, 4920, and 5074. Hello, and thank you all for joining us at this in this conversation here. And now, Amelia, could you come on, please? If you're listening, here, let me bring you on here. There we are.
Yes, I'm here, Chrism.
Now, do you have any more information about those possible seminars?
Well, the plan is to have one here in Ireland again, not necessarily in Cork. We might do it again in Newgrange because that was a very nice venue, I feel, and it's a good venue as well from the perspective of people flying in. So
I like Newgrange.
Perhaps there, yeah.
Yeah, Newgrange was great.
It
I
was.
especially liked all the spiders in the hair. Very nice. Very nice.
That was wonderful. So I'm thinking there in March, and also in New York in March. So I would invite people.
Go ahead.
Sorry, cousin. I would invite people to write to me if they have an interest in attending either of those. In the New York area in particular, it's a big undertaking to organise, so I would appreciate some feedback if people are interested. Not a commitment to attend, but that you have an interest in attending and that you may possibly attend. So that would be the place on the East Coast that I'd be looking at to organise it in March. And Ireland as well. And if there's anywhere else indeed that people are interested in Chrism giving a seminar, you can write to Kundalini Matters and let us know about that.
Kunalini Matters at gmail.com, right?
That's it, at gmail.com. Correct.
Very good, very good. Well, Debbie, I would like to thank you for calling in. Rosemary, I would like to thank you for letting me just cut in on your easy listening time. Everybody who has come into the chat room, thank you for joining us with this conversation. And for those of you who are listening in the archives, many blessings to you. I am going to sign off this conversation and thank you all for listening. Bye, Amelia.
Bye, Chrism. Goodbye, everyone.